Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Nacy, and I'm here with Jack Jack. We've been enjoying our stay at the Motel 6. We got to stay 4 nights, which was really nice, and got to eat and everything thanks to a generous donor to our channel, and we really appreciate you supporting the channel like that. And, well, today back out on the streets, unfortunately, but it shouldn't be too much longer. Be starting back to school in a couple of weeks and getting my loan money and everything, and should be able to get something going to get us off the streets, which will be nice. Today I just want to kind of talk about, you know, how homelessness is a lot it's very similar to what slaves went through when they left the plantation. Now, I'm not saying it's as bad as that, because that was really horrible, but our country was based on slavery, and it still is, because we don't work most of the time for ourselves. We work for other people to make other people rich. And basically, when people are homeless, they're treated kind of like runaway slaves, basically, because they're not working a lot of times, and these corporations that are employed, the contractors that are employed to get people back working and back into homes and everything, the first thing they want to do, of course, is get people working, because we're no good to the 1% if we're not working. So that's the basic thing they want to do, is get us back to work. Because I was listening to these CBI people talk in the trailer. They were talking about, oh, we're going to get a raise and we're going to get a promotion and all of that. And the main thing they were talking about is getting people back working. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people working, because, we need to make a living. We need to somehow pay for our rent and our food and all that. But if you think about it, when people become disabled, when people become to the point where they can no longer work, or they're too old to work, or something's going on like that, they're pretty much left out on the streets, or they're put in these shelters where they treat them like criminals. And the respite center, even, it's like they torture people who are homeless. People who are homeless are actually tortured. In the respite center, they torture them like prisoners of war, make them sit up in chairs all night in bright lights, and wake them up every so many minutes. Shelters, there's constant surveillance of the people. There's, curfews. And I know I've heard a lot of people comment and say, well, it's necessary because these people a lot of times are criminals or drug addicts or things like that. So we have to treat them this way in order to get them under control, which I think is BS, personally. I think people act like how you treat them. If you treat people with respect, they act with respect. If you treat people like they're less than human, they're going to act like animals. It's just human nature to be like that. And I've seen it with, like, the church respite versus the Burton Bar Library respite. The Burton Bar Library respite, they treat people like absolute crap. And people act shitty in that place. But in the church respite, where they let people lay down during the day, they treat people with respect. And people are a lot more respectful in that place than they are in the other. So I don't believe in this. We have to treat people like absolute crap in order to get them to, behave themselves, supposedly. It's akin to the novel by George Orwell, 1984, where they had to train you how to be, not thinking of the wrong things, having your mindset reset. Because a lot of people are waking up to the fact that, there's just a small percentage of people who are rich. Pretty much everybody else is in debt. Middle class is not having money. Middle class is having credit and being in debt. And eventually when you're in debt, if something is to happen, which eventually it will, eventually you're going to get hurt, eventually you're going to get sick, something is going to happen. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck because your bills are so high that you can't do anything else, eventually you're going to end up on the streets. And it's very, very sad. This is society, though. You have to understand this is society. How do we change this? How do we change the fact that there's only a certain amount of people that actually have money and everybody else has debt? We've got to first of all realize that it's happening and not deny it. And second of all, we've got to work to let our people know that we need to come together as a people. There's so much racism and so much horrible stuff going on in our country right now. I've never felt so much division between people. And what we have to realize is that we're all in the same boat. And maybe some people have more privilege than others, and that may be true, but regardless, the people with the privilege need to come together with the people that don't have the privilege, and we need to work together, and we need to become one people, and we need to come up against these people who are deciding our fate in our lives, because we don't have to live this way. There's a lot more of us than there are them. And if we could stand up to the oppressors, if we can stand up to these people and say, no, it may seem like a little thing, but if I go into the respite center, I'm not letting you look through my stuff. Not because I have anything to hide, but because you're stepping on my rights. And I was accused of saying that I have privilege because I thought that I should have privacy, that I should have privacy in a shelter. Well, guess what? We do have the right to privacy, and that's a right. That's not a privilege. And to say that everyone else is treated like absolute crap and I shouldn't be, that's not a privilege. I don't think that I should be treated better than everyone else. I think everyone should be treated better. I think that it's wrong the way they treat people in shelters. I think that it's wrong the way they treat people in these respite centers. And I don't think that I should be treated better. I think everyone should be treated better. No one should be treated like a criminal just because they're homeless. That's a horrible place to be. If you've never been homeless, you don't realize how stressful it is. You don't realize how hard it is just to go from day to day, not knowing where you're going to sleep, not knowing where your next meal's coming from. It's a stressful, stressful place to be. Not being able to go home, I think, is one of the worst things that can happen to you. Because when you have home, you have comfort and you can regroup and you can get your mind together. But when you don't have home, you're constant, especially for someone who has autism, someone who is an introverted person like me. I'm actually very introverted, and what that means is I need time to myself to get my energy back. When I'm constantly around people like I am on the streets, then my energy slowly just drains until I just can't function anymore. So yeah, it's a horrible place to be, and I don't wish it on my worst enemy, honestly. I don't want anybody to have to be homeless. I think everyone should have housing, and we need to realize that our country was based on slavery, and that slavery is still continuing in our country. It's just been repackaged to make it more palatable to the masses. It's not any different. People don't get whipped like they used to, but they still get tortured, and they still have psychological torture that they inflict on people who are homeless. And these places like CBI and City of Phoenix and people that go out, oh, we're trying to give people resources. What they're really doing is trying to round up the runaway slaves and get them back working. And that's the truth of the matter. It's not a service. They are not nice people. They do not. There may be some people that are kind that work for CBI in different places in CAS, but most of them are really horrible. They're really horrible, and they treat people like absolute crap. And this just needs to be known. And privilege is not standing up for your rights. That's your rights. Privilege is getting a new purse. Privilege is getting a new car. Privilege is having a better home than everyone else. That's privilege. Rights, you have the right to not have illegal searches, illegal people invading your privacy, people taking your information without your permission. You don't have, those are your rights. So anyway, my point being, people who have never experienced homelessness, people who have never experienced what it's like to be in shelters and things like that, you need to realize the basis of our country. Our country was based on slavery. It was based on getting rid of tribal people, getting rid of people who, were native to this country. And that's a very horrible thing. And that we continue to have the mentality that certain people should have and certain people should have not. And we need to change that as people, and we have the power to do so if we come together. And we need to start realizing that we need to come together as a people and not be so hateful towards each other. We're all struggling right now. Some people might have more advantage than others, and that's true, but the people that have more advantage than others need to help the people that have less advantage. And we need to come together as a people and not hate each other. We need to have homeless unions, and we need to have people come together and protest, and people come together and, build each other up. We could create our own corporations that house people. We could do so many things if we just come together and stop hating each other. So I'm calling you to come together as a people and love each other and see that we're not that different and that we're all struggling right now. And even people who are supposedly middle class that make $75,000 a year, really it's not even enough money to live on, and they're in debt. So they're in danger of becoming homeless as well. So if we can all realize that we're either homeless or in danger of becoming homeless, then we could get together and make a change in this world. And I thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel. Donations are accepted for the channel to keep the channel going. And I have in the community page, there's information as far as how you can donate to us. And you have a great day, and I hope you're housed, and I hope you're fed, and I hope you're happy. And have a great day. Thank you.